So once again we have another free-for-all, and once again Lothlórien are a big part of it because we have two Lothlórien armies here in a blob. You can tell that from the deployment they got kind of screwed because they could only deploy in this little tip because of how the deployments in a free-for-all tend to be a triangle, and you can see that most of their triangle is actually mountains. And I believe this map is actually called Mountain Pass or Dwarf Mountain, it's one of the two. Regardless, we'll go through Lothlórien, we'll go through the army compositions pretty quickly because this is an 8-player one and I don't want to spend too much time on it. So Master Blaster, who sent me the replay, we've got Light Elven Archers, we've got Lothlórien Mounted Company, 2 units of. We've also got some Sindar Archers, more Light Elven Archers, and then back here we have the Blob. We have Sylvan Spearmen, Woodland Warriors, Sylvan Axemen, Sylvan Heavy Swordsmen, Sindar Blade Masters, all of the sort of standard middle tier sort of Sylvan units we have there. We also have some Lothlórien Veteran Warriors and some Sylvan Heavy Spearmen, and then moving on to his allies army, which is in much the same sort of position. We have Sylvan Heavy Swordsmen, we have Sylvan Heavy Spearmen in there as well, we have Woodland Warriors, Sindar Blade Masters, Sylvan Silver Spears, I believe anyway. We've got some Woodland Warriors, more Lothlórien Veteran Warriors, more Sindar Blade Masters, some Lothlórien Mounted Company, and then he's also got the Sylvan Staff Masters again. These guys, they're not really worth it in the current patch, mainly because despite the fact they have very high melee defense and units will struggle to kill them, particularly units that are armor piercing because they're focused around killing a very different type of unit. They don't really kill anything, so they will just be attrition to death. They are very cheap though for what they offer, so there is that. So that is Lothlórien. This is of course a very long battle by the looks of things. So we have Private Parts playing as Gondor. We've got several units of Gondor's Spearmen here at the front. We have some Gondor Citadel Archers at the back, again slightly more elite version of the Gondor Archers. We also have some Wardens of the White Tower, again very elite sword and board unit. If we look down here, we've also got some Gondorian Winged Swordsmen, again maybe not quite the most durable shock unit, but they do still do quite a lot of damage, and they do have armor, so they have that going for them. They also have some Sons of Argonath, of course, the better version in many ways, and then we also have some Gondor infantry here at the back as the next line to go through. And also looking up there, yep, that is his, well, these are his units. We have the Pinath Gallin Cavalry. You don't see these guys too much because they don't have HP, and most people will prefer to bring the Gondor Knights and then back them up with the cheaper Gondor Cavalry, but nonetheless we have these guys in their green armour. They are of course shock units, and then over here he does have his Gondor Knights, which I believe is his general's bodyguard. Is it? No, I don't think so actually. Huh. Interesting. Regardless, we'll move on to the next army, which is Char playing as Arnor. He's got all of his units in column because rather wisely he knows that he's going to have to move quite a long distance before he actually gets to fight anything. So we've got several units of Arnor men-at-arms. Again, there might be hidden units. There's probably Dunedain Troll Slayers and Dunedain Bodyguard in here somewhere. We've got some Arthedain men-at-arms as well. Arnorian Peacekeepers, which are one of the most disappointing units in the current patch. They don't really pay for themselves very much, or very often I should say. We've got some Dunedain Wardens, we've got some dismounted Dunedain Knights, and then we've got some Arnor Pikemen, some Arnor Gate Guard, so he's got some a good pike contingent over here, and then he's obviously got 2, I believe, Knights of Annuminos, which is pretty standard fare for Arnor. And then over here he's backing them up with a couple, or is that just one unit? Actually no, that is just one unit of Dunedain Scouts. So his Cav, while he's got 2 Knights of Annuminos, he doesn't have very many chaff units, so he might be partial to getting surrounded. And also he's got a ballista over here just in case anyone has brought a catapult. Now let's move on. Down here, moving anti-clockwise, we have the Dwarves playing as Grimlock, the Dwarf Lord from below. Playing as, that is the player's name. We have some Khazad Orc Hunters, of course, the only archer unit that the Dwarves have available to them. Oh, moving on here, we have the Ironfoot Warriors, of course. You can always expect to see these guys when the Dwarves come along because they can't afford to bring all of their expensive units, and these guys are a very, very good main line indeed. Also the Ironfoot Crossbows, again, always going to see them. A couple of units of Erebor Infantry, and then he's got his Dwarven Noblemen, which is where his general is there. You can see Dane. And then in the back line over here, just protecting from an Arnorian rear charge, we have some Ironfoot Spears. I think 3 units of those. And then he's also got some Dragon Slayers of Ered Mithrin, and we also have some Sons of the Fallen. So yeah, some very elite infantry back here. Some Hammers of Gundabad, 2 units of them, good shock units, and then he's also got some Miners. So yeah, a decent force of dwarves there, and they're backed up by their stalwart allies Dale, played by Pizza Maker 90. He's got some fast Dalian cavalry. Again, they're not going to be good in a sustained fight, but they have a very fast charge. He's also got 2 units of Dalian paladins, it looks like. He's got some Dale swordmasters. He's got some earls, which is a very much a slower cav unit, but there's the general back there, King Brand. And we have, the earls are very slow, but they are very good in sustained melee, the antithesis of the Dalian cavalry. Some Lake Town pikemen. I'm glad someone's brought some pikemen on this alliance. We've also got some Dalian spearmen, an armor piercing lower tier spear unit more Lake Town pikemen, and more Dalian spearmen. And then out front here, of course, he's got the Dalesmen in loose formation, hoping to absorb some archer fire, and then his Dalian marksmen will do the majority of the killing. Range, they're a very good standard arch unit, and when backed up by the dwarves are like the hammer blow. Then over here, I believe we have the alliance of the Easterlings, as we have Harad, played by Starling. He's got a unit of dismounted Serpent Guard and a catapult, immediately targeting Lothlórien, which is very wise because they're very bunched up. He's got some Serpent Bodyguards, which are a very fast General's Bodyguard. I believe they're getting a new unit model in the next patch. And we also have 2 units of Muhard Berserkers, 2 Muhard Tribesmen. He might have some Hashari hidden around here and some other hidden units as well. But most of his money, of course, has been spent on a unit of Mumakil, which, of course, will be very difficult for a faction like Lothlórien to stop in the position that they are in. And then finally we have Karl Dragonborn playing Rune, and he has got some runic Swiftblades, some Clansmen, more Swiftblades, some Gamprim, of course, some Lokflagrim, some Narim, some Clansmen again. He's got the very scary Dragon's Wrath crossbows, which is where his general is residing. He's got the Easterling war chariots, which at the moment, as soon as they stop, they die. So I mean, it's not really worth it for the most part, but they are fun to use nonetheless. Another catapult and some Lok Scion Rim. So without further ado, let us begin the fight. And in fact, let's actually head over to the Haradrim catapult. Backed up by the Serpent Guard. They are very exposed though. Dale is likely to charge this catapult if they're not careful. So let's go here. Will they hit? Just waiting for it to hit. Nope, they're going to miss, it looks like. Very fortunate for Lothlórien. They need to get out of this corner fast. I mean, they're kind of forced into being aggressive at this point. Oh. Rune are not using the flaming shot, which is a bit of a mistake, to be honest, because that would have been a devastating hit on Master Blaster's army right off the bat. Having said that, Harad have sort of opened themselves up to being overwhelmed, because while the Mumakil are very good, there's some Shadow Guard back there as well. Giving the numbers advantage to the elves is a risky proposition, but they really need to get out of this corner fast. They're not moving quickly enough, and this catapult is absolutely ripping through their army. So right away they're having issues. But over here we have the Galathrim mounted company. They're very fast, and they did actually manage to catch the Easterling war chariots and do a decent amount of damage to them, but they're not really the most important target. I mean, it's good to get them off the field, I suppose. It is a lot of money wasted then, but even so. I mean, these Lothlórien units are now sort of charging, but it is a rather panicked charge, I think, because as you can see, it's not really in any sort of formation. You can see the Woodland Warriors are sort of coming forward on their own. The Galathrim mounted company are sort of trying to get in and around Rune, which they're being quite successful at so far, it must be said. They've managed to get into the catapult. And you can see actually what the hell happened here. Oh, the Elven Archers, of course. My mistake. But yes, the Woodland Warriors, making use of the gap that the archers have afforded them, are now getting into melee. They, of course, will rip their way through clansmen very, very easily. Lokflagrim less so, but they should still do reasonably well from a cost efficiency standpoint. Let's have a look back here. The Galathrim mounted company really need to keep moving. I mean, I think they have managed to completely destroy the catapult crew, to be fair, but with the Gamprim right there, they need to get out before they're killed. And the Serpent Bodyguard, you can see that Dale cresting the hill, and suddenly the Easterlings are looking in pretty bad shape, because they don't have enough men to deal with both fronts. Of course, the faction this is really best for is Gondor and Arnor, because they're not wasting any men on this engagement. These Sylvan Spearmen going up against the runic Swiftblades. Swiftblades should do reasonably well. The Shadow Bows, of course, don't stand a chance in a skirmish fight with the Elves, and this is the power of Lothlórien's skirmish. You can see back there, again, the Galathrim mounted company with a quick, fast charge on the Serpent Guard, cutting the unit in half, pretty much. And you can see that I think Dale and the Dwarves are actually quite content to let Lothlórien and the Easterlings go at one another, and they're just going to sort of set up on the slightly elevated ground in the background over there. So a lot of these Woodland Warriors, again, this was kind of a rush build from Master Blaster and Spartan, which is very fortunate because of the position they started in. And you can see that all of these Flagrim units, the Flagrim will hold better than a lot of these other runic units. I mean, now that the Gamprim are sort of getting into the front lines, the Woodland Warriors sort of damage that they've been causing will slowly start to come to a stop, but Rune and Harad have lost so many men very quickly. Again, Lothlórien did lose a few from those catapult volleys, but this catapult was far too far too exposed. You can see that the
Pray something changes in the course of battle, for defeat seems almost certain.
the Lothlórien position, the skirmishers just ripping through the catapult crew. You can see that the Galathrin mounted company just pulling back. This one staying in the fight, trying to deal with this Serpent Guard in prolonged melee. They should probably get out of there, to be honest with you, and charge. The Galathrin mounted company are so fast and slippery. Meanwhile, trying to deal with the sort of frame rate drops, but it's difficult. We have the Woodland Warriors still going strong. Again, they are quite cheap compared to most Elven units, and they're capable of doing a lot of damage, particularly against armoured units. Again, these Sylvan Staff Masters are getting in here. Sylvan Staff Masters will clog up the flag room for quite a long time, but of course they won't get very many kills in return. And archers will rip through them pretty quickly. You can see that the Elven archers, this is the problem that you have when you're up against the elves. There's really nothing you can do. All of your sort of key targets are immediately ripped apart, even by Lothlórien, who are, I'd consider to be the most acceptable of the Elven factions in the current patch, because it actually does take a degree of thought to play them, whereas the Woodland Realms and the High Elves, you just sort of sit there and win. Lothlórien's infantry and sort of the hit point disadvantage they often have does mean you have to be careful about what you do. But nonetheless, the archer advantage is still so extreme. It does mean you have to be aggressive against the elves. There is no being defensive. Meanwhile, these Muhad tribesmen are actually going to sort of get some side shots into these Woodland Warriors, it looks like. What are they going for? Are they going for the Sindar? No, they're going for more Woodland Warriors. They're going to get some decent kills from that. There's more Sylvan Spearmen coming up. There's more light Elven Archers moving in. But as you can see, Rune and Harad are being thoroughly overwhelmed. Lothlórien's attack has proved to be very, very effective. And now backed up by Sylvan Spearmen as well. There's also those Sylvan Axemen arriving in the background, a slightly more defensive variant. You can see that sort of trying to get around with this low Gamp Brim. The Gamp Brim will win quite comfortably against Sylvan Spearmen. But if they get recharged by these Sylvan Axemen, it's going to be all over very, very quickly for Rune and Karl Dragonborn. The joys of fighting the elves. And you can see that what's left of this Galathrin mounted company is charging into the Muhad tribesmen, which is now finding itself the target of the Lothlórien skirmishers, as would be expected. Javelins really stand no chance, particularly lightly armoured ones like the Muhad tribesmen. The shadow bows have taken a bit of a mauling as well. These Sylvan Axemen are routing because they went in a little too deeply. These Woodland Warriors now surrounding what is left of this runic front line. Of course, Harad never had many infantry units to begin with, but they have sort of fallen back behind this cliffside, sort of give themselves some cover from some archers, which is wise. They should try and retreat all that they can back there, to be honest with you, because at this point it's very obvious that Lothlórien is going to rip through their outer defence. And yeah, these Sylvan Axemen actually didn't go into the rear, and they are fighting uphill, so the Gamp Brim are actually going to do quite well for themselves, but they are of course very isolated, so as soon as Lothlórien commits something else, they are doomed. Meanwhile, what's going on over here? You can see that these Galathrin mounted company are sort of starting to take some fire from the Dunedain scouts, these horse archers over here, which are essentially mounted Dunedain rangers. Again, it does look like Gondor and Arnor not too eager to take on the dwarves and Dale from the rear. They're going to go for Lothlórien instead. And at this point, Lothlórien need to start thinking about how they're going to get out of this, because while Rune and Harad have taken the biggest beating, they are at least on the outside. They have a place to retreat to. At this point, Lothlórien have no retreat. All that they can do is sort of stay in melee and hope to fight. I mean, at this point, they should probably just keep going against Rune and Harad and try and break through. You can see there that that was the Dragon's Wrath crossbowman.
Something changes in the course of battle, for defeat seems almost certain.
Surprised there aren't more clan crossbows from Rune, to be honest with you. You can see out there that Serpent bodyguards fighting against something. When the Dragon's Wrath crossbows do fire, they will cause a lot of damage, although I'd recommend the fireball ammunition with how Lothlórien are blobbing up. You can see that these Serpent bodyguards are quickly going to find themselves charged by these Galathrin mounted company. And that might be the end of the Harad general, provided he's in this unit. He might not be. He might be in the Mumakil unit. But yeah, the Serpent bodyguards are very fast as well. Very similar to the Galathrin mounted company in many ways, only the Serpent bodyguards do have hit points, but when they're charged like that, it's all but over for them. There's two Sylvan Axemen left alive. Just a single unit. Meanwhile, these Galathrun mounted companies being very aggressive, going straight for the most important target on the field for them at the moment. And there goes the runic general. Yep. When there are gaps in the defence, very fast cavalry like the Galathrun mounted company will easily find it. And now the Dragon's Wrath crossbows, they may well survive this encounter. They're going to be much lesser for it. And now Rune don't have their general. The splinter shot is still in effect. You can see that Rune are still kind of putting up a fight out here. There are still Muhad tribesmen. Lothlórien may well be running low on archer ammunition at this point in their elite archers anyway. Light elven archers tend to have a little bit more ammunition. You can see that these Lotgambrim now defeat does seem certain for them. They have put up quite a decent fight though over here. These runic swiftblades are coming in to try and reinforce them, but they just don't stand much of a chance against Sylvan Axemen. Sylvan Axemen are of course the superior unit in this sort of situation, and the runic swiftblades. At least they're trying. But at this point, trying is not going to be good enough, and you can see the Galathrun mounted company is retreating. The dwarves and Dale, Arnor and Gondor, looking pretty good at the moment. But again, Lothlórien really had no choice but to go full in against the Easterlings based on their deployment and based on the artillery that was arrayed against them. And these Galathrun mounted companies have been very, very effectively used. They are starting to really fall away now, but they've done so much damage to Rune and Harad that they've definitely paid for themselves. These Dragon's Wrath crossbows are still alive. There are still some Muhad tribesmen, still some Muhad berserkers. Scion Rim, the Mumakil, is still alive. But again, if Rune and Harad are going to win from here, they just need to retreat their army fully to the outside of the map. Maybe over to here on the minimap and go right around and go around the rear of the dwarves and Dale. Because it would at least... Doing something like that would at least encourage combat between the other factions then. Because they've certainly taken the brunt of the losses so far in this fight. Despite the fact that Lothlórien started in a rather disadvantageous position. See, the Woodland Warriors have done very well in this fight. Against armoured factions, the Woodland Warriors do very well. And here we have the final stand of what Rune have out here. The Gambrim are fighting to the death, and this is going to be the end of them. As they fall away, oof, poked in the back, a shiv to the guts, and then there's a few Muhad tribesmen as well.
Only half our force remains.
Well, half of Master Blaster's army has died inflicting these great wounds on Rune and Harad, so it might well turn out to be too big a price to pay in the end. I mean, especially when you consider that they are still technically moving forward. I mean, committing units like this is not really going to work out for you. These Sylvan Staffmasters, victory is a distinct possibility. They have 4 attack, I think, but they have something like 60 defense. Definitely a unit with a singular purpose. Meanwhile, let's go back over to here, shall we? Because the Dunedain scouts are sort of pushing forward. Although I'm not sure for what purpose, because they're just pushing right into these light elven archers and these Sylvan heavy spearmen. There's also Galathrun mounted company. Although the skirmishers from Arnor and Gondor are now sort of giving the Galathrun a taste of their own medicine. And it is Dunedain Rangers, so yeah. All of Arnor's skirmishers will be lightly armoured skirmishers, but nonetheless very effective. And this is the problem Lothlórien have, they are surrounded. Meanwhile, what's this going on down here? Oh, Gondor did move down here. Oh, that was a brutal catapult shot as well. Oh, it's a trebuchet. So Gondor, private parts, has gone down here, but they have divided their forces at this point, and that's probably not the best idea. Gondor will not be able to break through both the dwarves and Dale. Be interesting to see how this plays out now. This is given a new dynamic, but the trebuchet will do a lot of damage to these tightly packed dwarves in formation, and of course there is the Gondorian skirmishers as well, which are doing their best, but Dale will have the skirmish advantage here, I would think. Oof. Good amount of damage to Erebor infantry, more damage to that unit of poor Ironfoot spears. But yes, the Dale Dwarven defence will hold here, regardless of what Gondor do, because they won't have the numbers to break through. I mean, Dale and the dwarves are fighting back to back in this alley now. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm glad that they're not camping at least. I'm glad that Gondor and Arnor are taking the front foot, taking some initiative. Oof, more kills on those Ironfoot spears. A grazing hit on those Dalian marksmen as well. Meanwhile, let's go back over to here, shall we? See what Lothlórien intend to do now. And of course that is to skirmish down. Again, at this point, if I was Rune and Harad, I would just run. Run away. There's no way that you can put up even the semblance of a fight over here. The Dragon's Wrath crossbows might be out of ammunition. I'm not sure what they're doing. Charging forward on their own is a good way to get them killed. And they're still an effective unit, even though they're so depleted. There are still those Muma kill as well. All is not lost for Rune and Harad, despite the fact they've been battered early on. Because, I mean, if they just retreat and wait, bide their time, this fight is still anyone's. We'll see. We'll see how it progresses, but they definitely don't stand a chance in the skirmish against Lothlórien, so I'm not sure what they're doing. Again, these Dragon's Wrath crossbows are being sent forward all on their lonesome. They do still have ammunition as well, but they're going to be skirmished down. It's such a waste. Look at this. The scariest unit in the whole game at the moment, and they're being thrown away, essentially. To fire a few volleys into Sylvan Heavy Archers, it's just not worth it. Not worth it at all. So yeah, these Dragon's Wrath crossbows have been poorly defended and now misused. Again, they still have a chance, but they just need to retreat. They need to know when they're beaten. They can't win in a skirmish fight against Lothlórien, it's madness. Meanwhile, if we look over here, you can see these Athelian Rangers with swords are moving forward. Oh, another brutal hit with the Trebuchet on those Lake Town pikemen. The Trebuchet is certainly doing a lot of damage to individual units. As we can see, these Athelian Rangers that are out of ammunition are actually being used rather wisely. They're not going to be very useful as a unit anymore, so what they're doing is they're just sort of sending them into these Ironfoot crossbowmen, preventing them from firing. Not that they had the best shot anyway. They had to sort of arc their shots over the hill. That's another brutal hit. Ironfoot warriors and Dalian marksmen. And again, these Ironfoot crossbows are trying to sort of retreat. Retreat behind these Lake Town pikes. These Athelian Rangers, they won't be able to break through the Lake Town pikemen, they're too lightweight. Even for a unit of lower tier pikes like this. And so the Dale Dwarf sort of defensive position has been peppered down pretty well by Gondor. I'd say, considering they're on their own, Gondor are doing very well here. Again, another grazing shot on those Ironfoot. But just reducing the amount of armor piercing damage they have is going to be important, because of course Gondor reliant very heavily on their armor values. We'll see what Arnor do as well. Meanwhile, what have we got over here? 2 Dragon's Wrath crossbows left alive. 13 Loknar Rim. The fight on this front, to be fair, has sort of cooled off. I think Lothlórien are sort of recognising Arnor as the bigger threat at this point, which honestly is good for Rune, and they should definitely just be retreating, and Harad should be consolidating their forces over here and hoping that in the late game their Muma kill can carry the day. Because, you know, at this point in time, this one unit of Sylvan Heavy Archers is essentially killing off units that could otherwise be used for such good things. But yeah, Lothlórien have played very well. Rune have wasted their Dragon's Wrath crossbows, which is criminal. It's heartbreaking. You can see that these Light Elven Archers are out of ammunition. These Sylvan Heavy Spears are being targeted by the Ballista. Not a bad target, to be fair. Especially when they're in shield wall, because you're going to get more kills. This Lothlórien Ballista is not really doing a lot, and it's also being targeted by Arnorian Archers. And you can see that the Dunedain Scouts, which I think are out of ammunition, charge into these Light Elven Archers, and they're going to mop up that unit relatively easily. So yeah, a bit of a waste of a unit here. I mean, Light Elven Archers in melee are never going to be too useful, but using them as cannon fodder is always good. But that's really just kind of a waste of them, to be honest. Wasteful. You can see that Lothlórien are very eager to sort of keep their position now. Understandably as well, because they have obviously taken a very aggressive stance early on against Rune and Harad, and were largely very successful at that. These Sindar Archers are now going to be moving forward. This Ballista either needs to retreat or start firing. As we can see, I mean, the Arnorian position is just sort of, they're just sort of sat here. They don't need to go into that valley. If they can skirmish down, they will. Again, they do need to be careful though, because honestly, if the Dwarves and Dale took an aggressive stance here against Gondor, Gondor would be finished. Which is why I'm honestly quite surprised. I mean, over here the fight seems to have ground to a halt. Dale and Gondor just sort of staring one another down. The Trebuchet is still firing. Again, another grazing hit on those Dalian marksmen, which still have ammunition. And the Dalian marksmen are armor piercing as well. So again, it's not too bad when you hit them. But yeah, I suppose Gondor are just sort of firing their trebuchet in, hoping to get some decent hits. They should definitely be going for an elite unit though. Like, where are they? Like, something like the Sons of the Fallen back here, or the Dragon Slayers would be an excellent target, because they're so tightly packed that a nice trebuchet hit would honestly be enough to half the unit. Maybe more in the Dragon Slayers case, because there are only 51 of them. We shall see. See these Earls, the Dalian Cavalry. I think it's sort of... It's tempted, I think, to go for the Lothlórien position. Again, Rune and Harad at this point don't represent the biggest threat. Lothlórien are very densely packed. I think I will make a cut here, actually, because it does seem like people are just sort of figuring out what to do. Just going to wait for someone to take the initiative. So yeah, I'll make a little cut and we'll rejoin when the action starts in earnest. I didn't have to wait long, actually. The Galathran Mounted Company did get charged by the Dalian Cavalry, and vice versa. Wasn't really too effective a charge by the Dalian Cavalry, to be honest with you. The Earls were definitely required, but unfortunately it is the Lothlórien skirmish position which is going to be the key here. I think that charge was actually all that I missed, which is a bit of a shame. What's going on over here? What are Rune doing? Rune and Harad are quite bold indeed to be attempting to poke their head out over here, although the Mumakil, are they going around? The Mumakil may well be over here somewhere, but I can't actually see them. You can see the Serpent Bodyguards are here. The Mumakil going into the rear of the Dalian Dwarven position would be an interesting move. Because it does look like the Muhad Berserkers are sort of moving over in that direction, getting ready to attack them as well. Sort of leaving Lothlórien to the Arnorians. Interesting move. At this point I would say that the ones most likely to win are probably the Dwarves and Dale. Mainly because they're both together. They're both going to be very difficult to break down. Again, I'm surprised they're honestly not going after Gondor. I suppose if they went out there, the Knights of Annúminas would immediately come for them. But they've got crossbows to deal with them. See these Dalian Spearmen again. No one's really eager to take the initiative. So again, it's kind of a lull in the fight. So I will make a cut. Again.
Enemy general lies dead. That'll teach him to ride
Well,
to war on a pony.
That is most unfortunate. How did that happen? Where's the Dwarven nobleman? Oh, hello. Oh, it's these guys. These Muhad tribesmen assassinated King Dane. Amazing. Of course, they don't stand a chance in melee now against the Dwarven nobleman, backed up by these Dalesmen. But the Dwarven general gone. And again, this is kind of the problem with sitting back and being super defensive, is you leave yourself open to some creative attacks. And again, I'm amazed they didn't notice these Muhad tribesmen, to be honest with you, but it's a bit late for all that now. No matter. You can see that these Earls from Pizza Maker 90 trying to come in here. But the Muhad tribesmen have already done their job. They've already cut those Dwarven noblemen down to size. All of these individual little pockets of action that are happening. Again, this is a very long fight, so I can't help but feel as though there's going to be several cuts as people sort of attack with an individual unit, and then there's a period of nothing, and then attack again. Very different to the previous free-for-all I showed. Here we can see the Dalesmen hovering with intent. Yeah, these Muhad tribesmen are doomed. You can actually see these Galathran Mounted Company, a unit of 16 of them. Are they going to recharge the Muhad Berserkers? That's not recommended. I would recommend you just leave Harad to do their thing, because they're helping you in a way. No, yeah. Wrong move. Can't do that. Again, you need to recognise when you're just in a free-for-all, you need to know who's the threat and who isn't. Harad and Rune just aren't at the moment. I mean, you would have been way better off going for the Khazad Orc Hunters. Unless there was some sort of agreement between Lothlórien and Dale, but again, I don't really see the point of that right now. Ah, hello. The Mumakil are here. They're going for Gondor, interestingly enough. I do appreciate Harad's aggression here. They're not being particularly rewarded for it, but we'll see. I mean, this Mumakil is going to take its toll on these regular units. We'll see how well they do before they die, because again, Mumakil, they don't actually kill quite as many off a charge as you would think. Again, there are a few dead Gondorian infantry here, but you would expect them to flatten the unit almost entirely. Look how many just died there. It's really difficult to get the Mumakil to do that attack animation there. Look at that. That is brutal. However, now the Pinithgelling cavalry is charging in.
Good tidings.
There goes the Mumakil, yeah. Charging into Mumakil with cavalry with how they work now. Oh my god. Charging into Mumakil with cavalry actually does work, so taking them head on, as it were, actually is effective now. Again, I do think that the Mumakil, as it stands, are not worth the money that they cost at the moment, purely because they're so easy to counter. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of hard counters in Total War, and the Mumakil are certainly hard countered by javelins, and they're also soft countered by cavalry countercharging them. Yeah, these Mumakil are doomed. We'll just follow them until they drop, I think. Which might be pretty soon, because I think that, well, no, they're not actually. They're gonna be able to charge through these Dalian spearmen and these Lake Town pikes and get into the Dalian marksmen, perhaps. Nope, they're gonna go back for the pikes. Or are they? Nope. Oh, Athala Rangers. I do love the Mumakil though. They'll always be my favourite unit, despite what the dev team does to try and hard counter them. You can't make me not like them. Look at that. They still have that mass. Killing a huge amount of the Ironfoot warriors on the way through. Again, they're very temperamental with how they get killed, because if they just knock units over, they'll get back up, but if they use their tusks to attack, they'll kill like half the unit in one go, like that. Ripping them apart. Doing a lot of damage to both Gondor's sort of standard units and the Dwarves' standard units with this, so while Harad and Rune are not likely to win this fight anytime soon, they are at least causing damage and making something happen, which is nice in a free-for-all. I don't like when people camp in each one of their individual corners, it's just annoying. See these Ironfoot warriors. Just not going to be having a good day with this in their face. Again, another 10 units dying almost immediately. The Dale Swordmasters are coming in now. Again though, the Dale Swordmasters are just being heavily damaged by the Mumakil as they attack. Oof. It is rather gruesome. More just savage hits. There goes another Mumakil though. Yeah, the crossbows are now in position to fire. Both Mumakils are down now, there's only one left. What's he gonna do? Well, that's pretty neat. I didn't know the Mumakil destroyed spikes on the way through. Huh. The more you know. This one Mumakil just doing his best, while everyone else is camping like the cowards they are. But there he goes. Harad did his best. Now Rune. I guess they sort of gave up on winning this, and they're just sort of trying to do damage where they can. Some Dale Swordmasters back there. These Ironfoot crossbows are a bit exposed, and they're going to get attacked by Cummel's Shadow Guard. Yeah, the Ironfoot crossbows are going to be far too slow to get away from a runic light infantry unit like this. I mean, it says they're heavy infantry, but they are lightly armoured and they are very fast. So yeah, these Ironfoot crossbows are going to quickly find themselves outmatched in melee. There's also some Scion Rim hanging around in the background over here. I'm surprised that they're not bothering to save these crossbows, they're just trying to sort of run them away. You can tell that Dale and the Dwarves are kind of expended most of their ammo on that Gondorian push. You can see that the Gondor Knights and the Pinithgelling cavalry is back here. And they are actually getting in behind the Dale position, which is bad for them, considering they wanted to camp in this valley. The Pinithgelling cavalry is going to be able to rear charge. He does need to be careful of the spikes that have been laid out around here. Oh, no, he doesn't want to. Well, come on, make up your mind. You managed to get in behind, at least rear charge them. No, his indecision's going to cost him. He's going to be cut off by pikes. He might just be able to get out. He's very lucky. But he has at least managed to sort of... He's going to be able to get a rear charge onto these, and a side charge onto these Dalian marksmen. So despite his dithering, he is going to be able to get a decent amount of damage done to these Dalian units before pulling out. And then these pikes are going to just sort of form up into their position. You can see over here the black shapes of the Camel's Shadow Guard. Actually, with all of these Dalesmen around, they will get a few more kills, but they are overwhelmed. And they will fall. I do like the look of the Dalesmen. For a low tier unit, anyway. I like the way they've got like little backpacks, two-handed axes, traveller's gear. It's neat. And over here you can see that Loke Scion Rim were committed. Victory seems set. Oh right, it's because of this. I was going to say miners shouldn't be beating Scion Rim, but it's because of the presence of these Khazad-orc hunters and of course the Sons of the Fallen. Sons of the Fallen, the single best spear unit in the game at the moment. Armor piercing, I think 3 hit points. Very, very strong. In terms of stats, they do lack a little something next to the other high tier Dwarven units, but that is because they are spears, it's to be expected. You can see that these Dwarven miners are on the other side, as well as some Dalesmen, just pinning these Scion Rim in place, hastening their demise, making things that much quicker. You can see that there's a few certain bodyguards. Yeah, Rune and Harad at this point are finished. Again, the Gondorians have sort of, after that one little charge, they've decided to sort of retreat again, I think. I think they're going to go back to their allies' position, which is probably wise. But they will be going down a corridor of death into Lothlórien. And this will, of course, mean that the Dwarves and Dale are largely unchallenged. And if Arnor and Gondor go up against Lothlórien and they kill one another... Oh, the Scion Rim are routing, you don't see that very often. Anyway, I'd give the advantage to Dale and the Dwarves at this point based on how they seem to be shaping up to engage one another. We have these Dunedain Rangers just going forward on their own, engaging these Sylvan Spearmen. Again, we're not even halfway through at this point, so there's still a lot of fight left to be had. I hope that most of it isn't just committing one unit forward and then waiting. You can see that there are Dunedain Rangers firing. Again, in a skirmish fight though, Dunedain Rangers will not beat Sylvan Heavy Archers. Depending on how many of them there are, there might be more of the Arnorian skirmishers left alive, which would be significant. We'll have to wait and see. But as a skirmish force, you would always back the elves. But this, of course, now means... Actually, are they going to take the front foot? Looks like they might. Actually, they're just chasing the Scion Rim. Based on how long of the battle is left to go, I imagine that the Dwarves won't sandwich Lothlórien, which is a shame. I imagine they're going to sort of stay up here on this area and camp it. For the time being, I suppose that's understandable, considering this Gondor cav is buzzing around.
Pursue and run them down.
There go the Easterlings, so they have lost. Here we have the alliance of the Bardings and the Dwarves. The miners again. Gondor need to be a little bit more aggressive with their cav if they're going to do this. I mean, they're here now, they might as well get some charges off. They're going to get a charge off on the Hammers of Gundabad, that's good. Getting a nice amount of damage done on a high tier shock unit, which could be potentially very dangerous. But unfortunately they were, of course. They immediately routed, that's interesting. I suppose they've got low leadership. They routed when they were attacked in the rear by those Ironfoot spears. Those Dwarven miners don't stand a chance off charges from Gondorian cavalry like that. And now there's Sons of the Fallen down here though, so we'll see what the Gondor cav does now. There isn't really very many pikes though. It's really the crossbows that you've got to watch out for. Other than that, you're pretty free to sort of charge what you want, as long as you don't get surrounded like the Pinithgelen cavalry did. You can see that the Dale Flayer, he's still covering this angle. I'm not sure why. Maybe he's trying to sort of go around and surround Gondor and Arnor instead of surrounding Lothlórien, which is an interesting move. The Earls are way out there, for whatever reason. And now they're going to be engaged, I believe, by the two Gondorians. The Earls, there are only 13 of them left. Yeah, they would lose pretty handily to all of these Gondorian units. The Gondor Knights and this unit, Pinithgelen Cavalry. provided they both attack, of course. Let's ride with the Pinithgallen. Or Pinath. Again, my pronunciation's probably completely off for pronunciation. Whatever. Who cares? Yeah, they're going to charge. They're going to catch the Earls. A sort of side charge as well, so any chance the Earls might have had to do some damage in return, pretty much gone at this point. There's the Dale General. Going up against the Gondorian Knight. We'll see how long King Brand lasts. Or is he going to be able to get away? He might be able to get away. I mean, I wouldn't imagine so, because the Earls are so slow. But we'll see. No, he's not going. He's going to turn around. I think he's going to accept his fate. He's not going to survive all of these Gondorian Knights, unfortunately for him. And then this Gondor cavalry has a choice to make. At this point, I would suggest it's probably worth trying to recharge Lothlórien if they're the foe they're going to go for. But we'll see. Holding his own pretty well. He's bloodied though, taking several hits. It's not anti-cavalry hits though, because of course the Gondor Knights don't have that. It's their biggest weakness, despite being hit point cap. Get out of the way. I want to see the Dale General fall. And fall he will. The Elves are really doing their best. They are a very good cav-to-cav unit. So they will at least make the Gondorian Knights pay for this. Where did the Pinithgallen cavalry go? Oh, they're off. They've had enough. I mean, I imagine the Gondor Knights will still win this. I'd be very surprised if they didn't. There goes another Earl. Only 2 left. The King and his bodyguard. Can he get any more kills before he dies? No. There he goes. There we go. Dale's general is gone. The Dwarves' general is gone. They are without their generals. The Pinithgallen cavalry manages to sneak around. I don't know what it's going to do over here, mind you. It's shaken and exhausted. It needs to be careful. It doesn't rout. Again, I would definitely recommend going for Lothlórien, because at this point it does look like there's actually an assault happening. An assault in, well, I say that, it's the Thelian Rangers and Dunedain Scouts. They are now being backed up by Citadel Archers and Wardens of the White Tower. Good. We have a genuine fight. And the Pinithgallen cavalry will probably try and recharge Lothlórien's position. We shall see. Citadel Archers, of course, decent armour values. They won't do badly for themselves in melee, particularly against Sylvan Spearman. The heavy variety will do slightly better, of course. I like the quiver and the cape that the Citadel Archers have, but it's really these Wardens of the White Tower which are going to swing this fight in Gondor's favour, provided they keep up the pressure. And there's winged swordsmen, so Gondor has now had enough, which is good. This is probably what Arnor should have done from the get-go, to be honest with you. But we'll see. We'll see if it pays off for the alliance of the Númenórean factions. Yeah, these Wardens of the White Tower are obviously very, very strong. Against some armour-piercing units they may take a bit of damage though, and they are being targeted by archers, I believe. Actually, no, I think all of the Lothlórien archers have used up all their ammunition. Now here comes the Pinithgallen cavalry, and they're going to get a nice rear charge into these Sylvan heavy swordsmen. That's a good target to go for, because they're very good in melee. Just sort of lowering the capabilities of Lothlórien to kill your infantry in melee is going to be what these Pinithgallen cavalry are good for, because of course they seem to have really low morale. I mean, in this case it's fair enough that they're routing, but in the other time they had 33 men left and they weren't in combat for very long. But yes, Lothlórien do still have some archers. Some archer ammunition anyway. Now the Gondor spearmen are coming up. Also the Sons of Argonath. So Gondor have really committed very heavily. And this does mean that Lothlórien's line is going to fall. Pinithgallen cavalry are routing sort of all over the place. Again, at this point, if you're Dale and the Dwarves, it's an interesting sort of situation to be in. Because you could finish off Lothlórien quite easily. But on the other hand, you want to stay and wait for Gondor to lose some of their elites on them. On the other hand, Arnor's army is pretty much the one force which is completely untouched, other than the Dunedain Rangers and Scouts. The Dunedain Rangers are still firing their missiles. Char-Char's army, the most healthy at the moment. The Gondorians, it's going to be they're going to sort of take their time getting through these Sylvan Heavy Spearmen, because the Sylvan Heavy Spearmen are so good at holding a line like this. But ultimately the Gondorians do have the numbers and the quality here. You know, Wardens of the White Tower. There may be archers that are out of ammunition in this mess, but the Sons of Argonath, Wardens of the White Tower, and the Gondorian Winged Swordsmen leading the way are going to be more than enough to deal with these Lothlórien defenders. I do like the Elven Spearmen though. Their shields. So some Sylvan Axemen are being committed to this front line. They will do slightly better against the Gondorians, but you can see the Gondorians pushing through with their weight, their mass, and they are just going to scything through this Elven position, because of course the Elves, they're quite light, and they are more susceptible to mass pushes than most. And you can see the panic now as the Sylvan Heavy Archers that are out of ammunition are trying to sort of patch up this part of the line. Wardens of the White Tower still very, very healthy, backed up by Gondor Infantry and Gondor Citadel Archers. Again, all of these stragglers are just sort of trying to get into melee. There are some Sindar Blade Masters, which are a very good unit, but ultimately the Lothlórien line is not looking healthy at all at this point. Also now there's some Arnorian men-at-arms coming in to reinforce, and this is what I like to see. Recognizing when your opponent doesn't have enough to withstand you and just sort of crushing their line. Nice bit of aggressive play here by the human factions. It's about time. Although these Galatharan veteran warriors do still have some ammunition, these don't. So they're sort of committing everything at this point, Lothlórien. Of course, this really does mean, of course, that Dale and the Dwarves are probably going to win this fight at this point, but it doesn't matter. We are approaching the halfway point, so there's still plenty of battle left to be had. You can see the Sindar Blade Masters. They just don't have enough mass to withstand this push. These Arnor Men-at-Arms. Victory seems certain for Arnor Men-at-Arms against Sindar Blade Masters. You don't see that every day. Primarily probably because of these, well, definitely because of the elite units that are around them.
Badly bloodied. They have lost half their men.
Indeed. There goes the Gondorians. There's still arrows flying on both sides. You can see that up on this part of the line where Gondor didn't really push as heavily, it's a lot more even. Lothlórien probably going to win that front actually, but it doesn't matter. More Gondorian Winged Swordsmen. Yeah, these archers that are out of ammunition, it's not going to be enough. You can see that the elves are just being shoved back time and time again. Although they do need to send up more men. Otherwise the Gondorian-Arnorian push might well run out of steam at some point. Although they are starting to get around the flank now. This unit of Gondor infantry. The Sindar archers still have ammunition, but at this point they've waited too long to use their ammunition. Because they're going to be engaged in melee pretty soon. See these Gondor infantry finishing off this very depleted unit of light elven archers. And at this point, if I were Lothlórien, it's a case of saving what you can and hoping that the Bardings and the Dwarves fight the Númenóreans. Speaking of which, Dale is actually moving forward over here, and the Knights of Annúminas are attempting to stall their advance. The Knights of Annúminas are incredibly strong cavalry. Still not quite as strong as the Calanardon Knights, but you can have two. They are quite slow though. What are they going to do? They're not going to charge headfirst into pikemen, are they? Please. Please no. Actually no, it looks like they're going to go for that Dalian spearman that's sort of poking out. Who's going to hit first? The Dalian marksmen are not going to do too much damage to these Knights of Annúminas yet. They're going to go for these spears. Bury myself in the tree there. Getting a lot of kills from the charge, and over here it's a similar story, although over here they do need to be careful because these Dalian Paladins are going to do a good amount of damage in sustained melee. Getting some charges off on the Dalian Paladins is not a bad idea. I've seen before that a unit of heavy cavalry can flatten Dalian Paladins in double quick time. If we look over here, you can see that the surround is pretty much complete. This Gondor infantry getting into the sides of these Sindar Blade Masters. Victory does seem certain for these Sindar Blade Masters fighting these straggler units of Gondor infantry that are in the side here. Actually, I do think that maybe, yeah, reinforcements are going to be needed. Arnor needs to send forward more men over here, or the Lothlórien Owls. The Lothlórien veteran warriors and the Sindar Blade Masters are enough to turn this fight around, although neither faction is going to have enough infantry left to face the Dwarves and Dale, who... Come on, guys, really? You're running away? You're going to the corner of the map to camp? Come on. I hate it when people do that. Grab a hold of your balls and be a man. Lothlórien veteran warriors fighting against those Gondor spearmen, going to do a lot of damage. Meanwhile, down here, let's have a look. The Knights of Illuminus doing their best to damage this Dalian position, but they're honestly not being used too terrifically. I mean, if you look here, there's Cav corpses around here, not very many Dalian corpses over here. I mean, some Dalian paladins have died. Not enough. If you keep the cavalry in range of the archers, it will start to tell eventually. You need to be decisive with them and use them quickly. You can't dither. Once you've committed, even if it's bad, you need to commit, because trying to pull out is worse. Yeah, these Lothlórien veteran warriors doing a lot of damage. The mounted company is still kind of intact. Another charge, if you can call it that. The Wardens of the White Tower, who were basically the spearhead of that push, have run out of steam now, and they're going to start to die. What is this over here, this red triangle? Mounted Hashari, huh? That's an interesting unit. You don't see them all the time. They're actually the one cav unit that can hide, I think, in the current build. Although that will change. I think that the Elder Pathfinders will be able to hide in the next build.
The enemy general flees like the coward he is. Press onward and break the spirit of his army.
It's good to see Harad still have something. They still have those trollmen as well. 2 units of trollmen, in fact. So they have some units sort of hidden out here. Maybe the dwarves aren't going into the corner there. Maybe they want to finish off Harad, but that is very dependent on them being aggressive against 3 units. Losing a lot of respect for that dwarven play. These Arnor men-at-arms. Yeah, Lothlórien have managed to weather this storm. They committed early, but they didn't reinforce quickly enough at all. And now there's a lot of routing units. The Arnorian and Gondorian push was defeated. Now it'll be interesting to see what happens, because Lothlórien have been left in bits, rather, from that. They have managed to win, but at what cost? I mean, at this point, I would urge all of the players to gang up on Dale and the Dwarves, because they're by far the healthiest army. They still have archer ammunition and everything. And also just the fact that the Dwarven player is doing this, going into the corner. Hashari Shadows and mounted Hashari. Going to try and get some ranged kills on the Dwarves. Be interesting to see how much damage they could do. I mean, the Hammers of Gundabad might not be a bad target for them. No shields. What's this? Oh, routing ballista crew. And over here we have... What do we have over here? Oh, 4 Ironfoot warriors hidden in the corpse of the Mumakil. Routing units all over the place. What's going on up here? Dunedain bodyguard from Char Char. Dale is actually attacking, to be fair. He's not dishonouring himself like his ally. And to be fair, Dale's actually being quite bold here, because in terms of infantry quality, Arnor certainly have the advantage here. Maybe if Lothlórien agree to attack from the other side, this would be the end of the Númenóreans, but then that would also be the end of the battle. It would be very, very foolish of Lothlórien to attack Arnor and Gondor at this point, and it doesn't look like they're going to do that. In fact, it looks like they're going to go for the dwarves, which is very good to see. At least one of the armies is. What's left of Master Blaster's army is going to join with Harad, I think, try and deal with the dwarves, while the Spartans' army stays here and ensures that Gondor and Arnor can find no shelter from the assault of Dale. So this is going to be an interesting sort of situation that they find themselves in. The mounted Hashari might be out of ammunition, because they're charging into those Khazad Orc Hunters. What are they firing at? the Galadrim, or Galathrim I should say, because the Hashari Shadows are doing a very high amount of damage. Hashari Shadows are quite accurate, they've got quite a high missile damage. Of course, it's nothing compared to the elves, but
Only half the enemy
you know,
force remains.
I've complained about how overpowered the elven accuracy is enough at this point, I think. These Khazad Orc Hunters that are out of ammunition, there are still Trollmen over there, and regular Hashari. So the dwarves might be in a little bit more trouble than they realise over here, because with Lothlórien attacking them from the other side, Harad and Lothlórien might have enough to finish the dwarves, and then Dale will not have enough to finish Arnor. It's interesting how a free-for-all can play out sometimes. You can see that the armour of the Ironfoot crossbows is saving them a lot of casualties here. And again, the Khazad Orc Hunters sort of going forward on their own. I think trying to engage the Hashari Shadows, but all it takes is for the Trollmen to sort of engage them, and then the Khazad Orc Hunters will very, very quickly evaporate in this dwarven position. Mounted Hashari doing what they can. Dwarven noblemen are celebrating, I think, for killing the Galathrim mounted company. What are the mounted Hashari going to do, I wonder? Here come the Lothlórien elves. And actually the Spartan is also following his ally. So that means Dale, Arnor and Gondor will be clashing on the other side. Arnor and Gondor are actually looking in pretty good shape all of a sudden. We'll see. It's a very close fight. Very finely balanced. Alliances can be broken very quickly. These mounted Hashari, I think they're actually in melee against something. Actually no, they're being targeted by the crossbows, aren't they? Meanwhile, if we look over here, the Dwarven noblemen, now without King Dane, are going to charge downhill. First of all, these woodland warriors, which they will absorb all the charge, though, to be fair. Actually, no, they didn't get charged. But now the Galathrim veteran warriors, with the Sindar Blade Masters, that should be sufficient to deal with the Dwarven nobleman. And there are still those Sindar archers in the back as well. What are the Sindar archers actually targeting? The Dragon Slayers? Not a bad target.
Defeat seems almost certain.
The mounted Hashari charging into the back of those Dunedain? Dwarven noblemen. Let's go and take a quick look over here, shall we? Dale, trying to deal with these Knights of Annúminas. Not an easy thing to do. The Dalesmen. Again, the Knights of Annúminas have taken a few attritional casualties, but honestly not nearly enough. You can see these Athala Rangers. Again, Arnor have the position. Really, as soon as Dale deal with the Knights of Annúminas, there's not really much else they can do. I mean, even if they charge forward then, they're still going to have to deal with Dunedain Bodyguard. And there's Gondor Spearmen. And you know, the infantry position they occupy is not too thick anymore. You know, Gondor and Arnor certainly paid a heavy price for attacking so heavily. There might only be Arnor left, actually. But even so, I would still say Arnor have the advantage over Dale in that position, with the matchup being what it is between the units. These Sindar archers, which I presume are now out of ammunition, are going to attack the Sons of the Fallen. Again, defeat does seem certain for the dwarves. There's another unit of Hammers of Gundabad coming in here. What's going on over here? The Hashari. 2 units of Hashari. And Hashari Shadows and Trollmen. Harad could still win this. Despite the mauling they took early on, they could still win this. Unbelievable. These Dwarven miners. Lothlórien are looking pretty good now as well. The Spartan's still got quite a lot of his army left. Master Blaster's army is looking a little bit worse for wear though. These Sylvan Heavy Swordsmen need to reinforce these Sindar archers pretty quickly. Otherwise the Sons of the Fallen will start to take their toll. The Galathrim veteran warriors, however, doing a very, very good job indeed against the Hammers of Gundabad. Hammers of Gundabad, of course, are an anti-army unit. Not really the sort of thing you stand against the Lothlórien elves, or Sylvan Elves to give them their old name. Now the Dragon Slayers are in combat, but they're going to be quickly surrounded by Sylvan Heavy Swordsmen. Having said that, the Dragon Slayers are so good. I don't know why they're more expensive than the Mithril Guard, because their stats are technically worse. But I assume there's something. I assume it's something like their mass, or something like that. There's a lot of hidden things that are difficult to sort of pin down. You might look over here. These Sindar Blade Masters quickly going to deal with those Ironfoot Spears. What's left of those Ironfoot Warriors is going to be dealt with by the Sylvan Heavy Swordsmen. More Sindar Blade Masters. They do need to reinforce this front, or the Dragon Slayers will start to brick through. Again, all of these stragglers are just going to be added to this line to try and shore it up, I think. What's going on over here? Still nothing, really. Although Dale are actually deciding to retreat, which is probably wise, considering that their ally is now the subject of a temporary alliance between Lothlórien and the Haradrim. And the Dragon Slayers. Victory does seem certain for the Dragon Slayers. They're going to take a heavy toll on these Lothlórien units, but ultimately the Dwarves are not going to have enough to deal with all of Lothlórien and Harad. Harad are actually going to be the ones coming out of this looking a little better, because Lothlórien are having to deal with the elites, whereas Harad, they're just having to deal with Ironfoot spears and warriors. And the Hashari combined with the Trollmen will rip through that. Although, to be fair, a couple of units of Erebor infantry over here. Oh, and there's Demons of the Desert. Well, the Demons of the Desert will turn this fight around very quickly. The Erebor infantry will fall away very fast. Are they going to use their ammunition on them, though? Or are they going to use it on the Dragon Slayers? One of the two, I would imagine. Actually, these crossbowmen have noticed them and are immediately targeting them. The Demons of the Desert need to fire their ammunition pretty quickly. They're falling. They're falling away. These Hashari. What are they going to do? The Demons of the Desert should be firing into this Erebor infantry. Defeat seems certain for it, but it would still hasten their demise, and it's still the strongest opponent they're going after. Meanwhile, a bit of an unsung hero of Harad, in my opinion, the Hashari. They can punch way above their weight in terms of how well they can perform. They can give elite units real trouble. They're so hard to kill despite not having hit points. More units should be like them, I think. And the Sindar Blade Masters are another good example of a unit that doesn't need hit points to be very effective. Meanwhile, if we look over here, Lothlórien have largely surrounded and are going to finish the Dwarves off. Even the Dragon Slayers. I mean, it still says victory seems certain, and they will still get quite a few kills, but ultimately I think it's these Galadhrim veteran warriors, or Galathrim I should say, shooting into this Dwarven blob. Ooh, interesting. The alliance is broken, because they're going after the Demons of the Desert. And this is why the Demons of the Desert should have used their missiles. Oh my word. That's why the Demons of the Desert need to use their missiles before they're killed by archers, which they inevitably will be. They're always going to be targeted because they're so dangerous. They ripped through that unit of Sindar Blade Masters in one volley and caused them to rout. That's unreal. Super powerful. Again, these Ironfoot warriors, they don't stand much of a chance while they're surrounded by all of this high killing power. There's the Sindar. Again, just looking over here, we can see the Sons of the Fallen fighting back to back, doing their best against the Sylvan heavy units. They are actually, the Sindar archers are retreating at this point. I think they realise actually that Dale is going to come in from behind, and that's bad news for them. And of course, this does mean that the Demons of the Desert are now free from the interference of those Galathrim veteran warriors. These Sylvan heavy swordsmen, defeat now seems certain. I'm pretty sure they want to retreat these guys, but they're having to sort of go through the Sons of the Fallen, which means they're taking more and more attritional casualties. We shall see, because Arnor and Dale are going to be heading down to this part of the map pretty soon, and Lothlórien are actually finding themselves in the worst position on the map at this point. Dale, in an effort to try and save their ally, will probably come and kill Lothlórien. And then Harad, and then Arnor is looking pretty good. Arnor are the ones that are in pole position at this point, I would say. Depending on who can retain their strength the best. Actually, it looks like these guys are out of ammunition now. They've pulled out their blades. We shall see. Let's go back to the fight. The Sons of the Fallen. And what's left of the Dragon Slayers. Now having to deal with the Hashari and the Hashari Shadows. Hashari Shadows are identical to regular Hashari in melee, only there are less in the unit. And of course they have bows, which means they're more expensive. Both are very, very vulnerable to missiles though, but at this late point in the battle where there really are no missiles left, it's really not going to matter.
Our army is tiring.
And the surround is going to be completed. These trollmen. Victory seems certain for the Sons of the Fallen, so the trollmen need to get in there right now. Because the trollmen are armor piercing. Come on, Sylvan Heavy Swordsman, please. What are you doing? Yes, Harad. That's what I'm talking about. I'm backing Harad now. It would be a real good comeback if they were to win. Although I think Arnor, would, if they still have Knights of Numenus, I can't see. Maybe the Demons of the Desert would be pretty good at countering them. I don't think Dale have actually got enough left to defeat Lothlórien. Lothlórien dealing damage to these bedraggled units of Dalian Spearmen and Archers. These Dalian Paladins are still going to be a significant unit. Looks like they're trying to desperately save their ally, but it's too late. It's far too late. You should be thinking about self-preservation at this point. The Dwarves are finished. Like, Harad are going to be able to do so much damage to them that it's not going to be worth saving them. And then you're going to have to deal with the Harad, Hashari, Trollman and Demons of the Desert. In the end, all that this is doing, I think, is giving the match to Arnor and Char's army. You can see Arnor Peacekeepers, dismounted Dunedain Knights, Dunedain Bodyguard, Arnor Gate Guards. Yeah, they've got too much. They would need to be ganged up on at this point, and I don't think the other players are going to be doing that. Dale are trying to pull through so desperately to their ally. But these Sylvan Heavy Swordsmen, the heroes that they are actually going to sort of delay them that. They won't win, of course. Dalian Paladins, too strong. But at this point, let's go and see that. Come on. Let's go and see the final stand of the Dwarves. You can see that the Trollmen with their armor-piercing damage, we just got there in time to see the final Dwarf die. And so, I think 2 units of Trollmen, one being pretty bedraggled, 1 Demons of the Desert, and then his complement of Hashari. I don't know, Harad could pull this off provided Dale doesn't go for him. And that's why I'm a little confused. There's nothing left of the Dwarves to save, so why are they coming down here? Attacking uphill into... It actually looks like they're going to turn around now. What's this over here? We have a red triangle. Oh, it's Gamprim. They're just routing all over the map. Fair enough. More routing units. Yeah, I think Arnor are going to have this. It's been a good fight, though. It's been very intriguing to see it unfold. Now, though, all of the action is between Dale and Lothlórien. And the Galathran Veteran Warriors are a unit that's going to be very hard for Dale to deal with cost efficiently. And at this point, Dale's haste to try and get to his ally has meant that he's chosen poor engagements with Lothlórien. It ultimately means that I think the Dale Dwarf Alliance is going to be the first to fall, which for a long time it looked like they had the position to win. But then that's how a free-for-all can turn around a lot of the time. You can see that the Sindar Archers and the Galathran Veteran Warriors, the only 2 Lothlórien units to have hit points. And they're certainly taking a heavy toll from Dale's infantry at this point. And again, Harad just sort of waiting, biding their time. I think they're also trying to rest their units, which they will badly need if they're going to try and take on Arnor, which it may well prove that Harad versus Arnor is the final fight, because Lothlórien and Dale are both in between them. I do like how this battle has made use of all of the map. Pretty much every section of the map, aside from sort of this bottom corner over here, has seen some form of conflict, and up here, of course. You can see that all of the armor piercing from these Dalian Spearmen is not going to help them, although it is actually... Well, victory seems certain for a little while, but yeah. Armor piercing weaponry is just not going to help you against Lothlórien all that much. And Dale find themselves outclassed here. My. Lake Town Pikemen. Athala Rangers. Knights of Numenus. Again, this is the more depleted unit of Knights of Numenus. Even 5 of them can still cause a decent amount of damage. Do they still have other units of Knights of Numenus, I wonder? What's that? Sons of Argonath that are routing. Dunedain Rangers. It doesn't look like it, actually. No cavalry. I would still back Arnold to win purely because they have Dunedain Knights, Dunedain Bodyguard and the Gate Guards. And I think that to get 2 units of Dunedain Knights as well, I think that together that's going to be too much for whomever the unfortunate soul is that has to face them in the final stretch of this match. Still comfortably over 10,000 frames to go in this fight though. The Lake Town pikemen fighting. There's Haldia. All bloodied up. There are the Knights of Illuminus. They're near pikemen. It's really not where they want to be. This has been a very long fight though. My voice is starting to give out. Again, it just goes to show that earlier recklessness from Rune, wasting those Dragon's Wrath crossbowmen and such. If they had pulled them back, they would be in prime position to win. But as it is, I don't think Harad are going to have quite enough to deal with the Arnorian onslaught. We'll see, maybe. The Dalian Paladins, well, Dale and Lothlórien are basically grinding themselves to death against one another. There's a green triangle down there. You can see that sort of Harad are just sort of forming up their lines, getting ready for the inevitability of a fight. If the Dunedain bodyguard have ammunition as well, which I assume they do. I haven't seen them use their ammunition, but then again they haven't really been a part of the action so far. Up here, the Lothlórien veteran warriors are having a lot more success against the lighter Lake Town pikemen. Again, lower tier units like this really don't stand a chance against the highest skill of the elves. And over here we can see more Lake Town pikemen, although victory is more likely over here because they're up against a very depleted unit of Sindar archers, which is all over the place, not really formed up at all. These Athala rangers are here. What are Arnor going to do, I wonder? Kudos to them if they were to attack, considering they do have a very distinct advantage. What's going on back here? Are the elves trying to sneak some units away? No, they're just routing. Yep, that were the units that were routed by the Demons of the Desert, which could still be the match winner, provided they're not skirmished down by potentially the Dunedain bodyguard. Looks like Lothlórien might well just pull this off. I would definitely say that Lothlórien will have the most kills by the end of all this. Obviously with the savaging they both gave to Rune and the initial Harad forces. And then Gondor and Arnor and now Dale, but what are they doing? It looks like they're going to engage Arnor actually. They're going to engage the Dunedain Rangers, indeed they are. No, Dunedain Troll Slayers that still have ammunition. Yeah. Arnor's skirmish advantage is just too much at this point. The veteran warriors have also been in melee for so long, and the Troll Slayers are so good in melee. It dependent on their armor piercing melee. Look at Haldir and look how bloody he is. How many kills can they get off the charge? Not a bad amount. So Lothlórien choosing to weaken Arnor's skirmish potential. The Dalians are sort of trying to retreat, which is understandable. But I would say that at this point they don't really stand much of a chance anyway. I mean, they have 5 Dalian Paladins. The vast majority of their other units are pikes. I like the way that Arnor have formed up in little squares, little infantry squares. Harad are now moving forward. In fact, it might be that they've all made a pact to gang up on Arnor based on how they're moving. Look at that, the Troll Slayers were actually ripped apart by the veteran warriors, mainly because of the charge, I think. No, what are they doing? Fools! Fools! They should be fighting Arnor. I don't know what the Spartan was doing there. He should have continued to take on Arnor's skirmishers. The least you can do is make it difficult for set. Well, the Athala Rangers still have some ammunition. At least the Dalians are now also in combat with the Arnorians. But ultimately it's just less men for Arnor to have to deal with. You can see that the Trollmen are over here. Harad are just sort of Harad need to be a little more aggressive, I think. They need to make the most of some of the Arnorian units being stuck on some of Dale's. Yeah, Dale's forces are all routing. It's only this Athala Rangers that are really left. I question the wisdom of the Spartan there, though. Now he's going back for the Troll Slayers, at least. The Troll Slayers still my singular favourite unit in the game. They're the only unit with heavy arrows that actually pay for themselves. Dale Dragon Slayers, Blackrock Engineers just don't have enough ammunition to be worth it. Meanwhile, we now have the advance of the Hashari. They'll rip their way through these Dunedain Rangers very, very quickly. But it's the Dunedain bodyguard that I think will win this fight for Arnor. They still have ammunition, I assume. Where are they? There they are. They still have ammunition, and the vast majority of Harad's army is Hashari, which is very bad against archers. Also, they still have these gate guards, which in terms of attritional warfare, which is what it might turn into, which is too good. There's also Dunedain Wardens. We'll see. The Demons of the Desert might be enough to cause some really heavy damage. These Lothlórien veteran warriors could side charge the Arnorians and do a lot of damage. Again, these Lothlórien veteran warriors are going after the wrong player because they're going after the Athala Rangers. That is the wrong move, because Arnor are the ones in pole position. Or do the Dunedain bodyguard? No, they don't. The Dunedain bodyguard have used up their ammunition, so they only have blades. So the Demons of the Desert here, depending on what they go for, you saw what they did to the Sindar Blade Masters. Could Harad win? Could they do it? The Southrons. The Shirtless Menace. The Trollmen of Harad will do pretty well against most of this Arnorian unit infantry. The Hashari too will maybe less so, although now Arnor is taking the aggressive stance, although only one at a time. Hashari going for these Arnorian peacekeepers, going for the weaker units with the Hashari, which is exactly what you should do. The pikemen are now coming forward now though. Demons of the Desert need to take out the gate guards. Are they going to do it? Yeah, they are. Look at that. It's a ruthless assault, and then they're very good in melee as well. Dismounted Dunedain Knights. Again, the Hashari. They won't do so well now that the pikes are there.
Behold how our cowardly foe runs. It's time to press the attack.
I don't know. I don't think Harad have quite enough left. I think that the dismounted Dunedain Knights will just be too much for the Trollmen to deal with. And I don't think that the Demons of the Desert will have enough ammunition to deal with it. Someone's a bit of defeat. Is that Dale? Those Lothlórien veteran warriors badly need to turn around. Lothlórien could still win, I suppose. Oh man. The Demons of the Desert badly need to use their ammunition. These Dunedain bodyguard. They are going to side charge the Hashari. This unit of central Hashari is actually doing relatively well, all things considered. I would have thought the addition of the pikes would really make them struggle. Victory is a distinct possibility for the Hashari over here still, despite the Dunedain bodyguard's presence. This unit of Hashari Shadows is going to rear-charge. And now the Demons of the Desert are in ideal position to get into these Dunedain Knights and Arnor Gate Guards. Well. This has been a very fun one to watch. The Demons of the Desert, they really need to use their ammunition like right now before the Dunedain Knights engage them in melee. There we go. Several more deaths for Arnor. I think that might be... They don't have a lot of ammunition, obviously, with how strong their ammo is. Now the Demons of the Desert are going to be in melee against these Dunedain Knights. Demons of the Desert might win that, although they have taken arrow fire from Lothlórien previously, so I don't know. Balance of forces is evenly matched. Defeat seems certain for the Arnor pikemen. It's these Hashari Shadows in the rear of the Arnor line. It's causing some real problems. These Hashari, there's only 39 of them left, but they're going to have dealt with these Arthedain man-at-arms. This Dunedain bodyguard, not to see Hashari beating Dunedain bodyguard in melee. At this point, I'm not really a fan of the cowardice from these Galadhrim veteran warriors. They should just get into the mosh pit and fight. Again, I guess there's no honour in war, but come on. At this point, at the end of such a good long fight, you want to at least... You don't want to win in a cheap way, that's what I'm saying. But we'll see. Lothlórien may well win because of that. The Demons of the Desert victory is a distinct possibility. These dismounted Dunedain Knights getting ripped apart by these very strong armor-piercing units in melee. Harad doing very, very well for themselves. The Bouncer forces is evenly matched. These Trollmen, the Gate Guards. The damage they took from those demons is making it so that the Trollmen are at least putting up a fight. These Hashari Shadows defeat is a distinct possibility, unfortunately for them, because several units have turned around on them. They will at least get some more kills. These Hashari victory is a distinct possibility. These Hashari defeat seems certain. Yeah, Arnor I think are going to win this fight against Harad. That's frustrating to see those Galathran veteran warriors just sat there doing nothing. Please.
Only half the enemy force remains.
Advance. Well, regardless, these Dunedain Knights are going to lose. The Hashari are very slippery though, so they can retreat out of the fight very easily.
The enemy army flees the field. Pursue and run them down.
These Arthedain man-at-arms are moving over to reinforce these dismounted Dunedain Knights. We're into the final 10,000 frames now. These Hashari are coming over to try and make sure that the Demons of the Desert at least survive. Finally, the Galathran veteran warriors are moving. These Hashari victory seems certain. These lower tier Arnorian units are outclassed by much of what is left in this late game engagement. I don't know, I still think Arnor probably have just about enough to pull this off. Mainly because of the sheer weight of numbers and the fact that they have a lot of pikemen. Although having said that, where did the gate guards go? There's only 10 of them left. Well, they still have quite a lot of standard pikes, I suppose. These Hashari Shadows are doing very well in melee now. The Arthedain men-at-arms getting ripped asunder. Harad. Yeah, I spoke too soon. The Galathran are still being cowards. These Demons of the Desert are going to finish off these dismounted Dunedain Knights. I hope Lothlórien lose because of this now. I'll be disappointed if they win. Not going in for a glorious three-way duel at the end, instead waiting on the edge. Oh, excuse me. These Arnorian Peacekeepers, again, not the most impressive unit in the world, and unfortunately Arnor is relying on quite a lot of them to keep their line intact. These Trollmen, of course, very, very strong. These Hashari are now rejoining the fight. What's left of these Trollmen is also going to join the fight. Yeah, Arnor are going to lose. Incredibly enough. I mean, these Peacekeepers are going to surround these Trollmen. These other Trollmen need to get in quickly. But yeah, this does mean, of course, that Lothlórien, their sort of disinclination to participate here in this last fight is probably going to win them the fight. Unfortunately. These Arnor Gate Guards. Those volleys from the Demons of the Desert were important. I would actually recommend Harad keep a unit of Hashari back at this point. Sort of run them away, like the Galathran have done. Or the Demons of the Desert. Those Hashari Shadows. Defeat is a distinct possibility, but they've done a lot of damage to those Dunedain Wardens. Dunedain Bodyguard, these Hashari getting into the sides of these Peacekeepers. The Peacekeepers will fall away very, very quickly. These guys need to have chicken feathers on them. They've done a lot of work in this battle, but come on. Oh, excuse me. Regardless, we have these Trollmen. Still alive, still fighting, still doing a very good job. These Hashari victories is a distinct possibility. The Dunedain Bodyguard match up poorly to Hashari. That's something to take away from this. And then we have these Demons of the Desert. Looks like they're going to recharge all of this mess. Probably the Dunedain Bodyguard, to be honest. This is going to be close, actually. The Haradrim infantry has done far better than I gave it credit for. If it still has enough left to deal with those Galathran veteran warriors in the end, well, it looks like it is actually going to help the Hashari Shadows, which is fair enough because they're going to lose. and the Trollman. Dealing with the pikemen and the Arnorian peacekeepers. This is very quickly going to bring about the end of Arnor. And those Galathrams still watch. They watch and wait. There's still a couple of Sindar archers. There's Mumakil. Dead. It's dead and eager. And here are the demons of the desert. Victory seems certain. They're all bloodied up. Most of their 3 hit points are probably expended at this point. But it doesn't matter. Harad are going to have victory over Arnor. And then it's going to be a straight fight between what's left of the veteran warriors and what's left of Harad. Honestly, I would still give that to the veteran warriors because their melee skill is so much higher than anything Harad has. Aside from the Hashari, but there isn't enough Hashari left, I don't think. There's 12 Hashari Shadows. There's 15 regular Hashari. Any more? Nope. Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to be enough. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. We will find out. And I think that Harad do, despite the very poor performance of the Easterlings early on, I think that Harad deserve a lot of credit for their late game play, and it's why I'm rooting for them. And now, of course, another unit that joins the roster of cowards. The Dunedain bodyguard are trying to run away in shame. Chivalry's dead. But yes, that's all Arnor have left, to be fair. Go on, Harad. My bias is showing, I know. So yeah, at this point I think we'll flick it to ×2 speed, just so that the manoeuvring around is sort of dealt with. So what have Harad got left? They have got 12 Hashari Shadows, 12 regular Hashari, 33 Demons of the Desert, 38 Trollman, and 11 Trollman. They could pull it off. They could, but the Galathran veteran warriors are so skilled in melee that I don't know. I haven't seen the Hashari go up against the Galathran yet. Meanwhile, these 2 Sindar archers assassinated by the Hashari Shadows. They don't use 2 swords, they just use the 1 scimitar. These Hashari need to be careful they don't get too far ahead, otherwise they will be engaged more quickly. Surely the Hashari aren't going to engage now without the support of their Trollman. That would be suicidal. That would literally throw the game away. Or are they trying to stop the Dunedain bodyguard from me? Oh, yeah. Yeah, this might well be what loses Harad the game. They need to run the hell away. They're not gonna be able to get away though. I think the Hashari are really fast, but they're also winded. This is madness. He should have kept all his forces together. That could be what finishes him off. Surely he's not going to charge. No. Please, no. What are you doing? Oh boy. Well, bye-bye, Hashari. Starling, why? All of that good work and you're going to undo it. Just like that. I'm almost tempted to switch my allegiances now. Look at that. They haven't really inflicted a single casualty on those Galathran veteran warriors. They might have got a couple off the charge. There was another one falling as well, but nowhere near enough. They needed the support of the more heavily armoured, more heavy-duty Trollman. I don't know what on earth he was doing there. Meanwhile, once again... Oh no, the Dunedain bot. I thought they were going to run away, but they're not. They're going to take the full force of the Demons of the Desert. And as you can see, not as many casualties off the charge, but the Trollmen have been far too slow. Far too slow. And now they're going to be finished off by the Galathran veteran warriors. Such a shame. There's Haldir. getting some nice kills. This unit of trollmen wasn't with the other one, so it's going to quickly find itself overwhelmed. Yep, defeat seems certain. The trollmen don't have the melee skill to go toe-to-toe with the veteran warriors alone, which is why they should have embedded the Hashari within them. Then you would have had the survivability and the skill. Instead, he split his forces. I mean, the Demons of the Desert might still be enough to pull him over the line. Arnold could still win this as well with that Dunedain bodyguard. Oh, excuse me. Dunedain bodyguard going for the Demons of the Desert. Probably the wisest move.
Our ally lies dead.
There goes Haldia, killed by a trollman. Or a trollman. And we're into the final 3,000 frames, so this is where the battle will be won or lost. Whew. There's a bloodied Haldia. The other one. Getting a kill. Defeat seems certain for the trollmen. Defeat seems certain for the Demons of the Desert. Yeah, I think Lothlórien are going to take this home. I don't think that the Dunedain bodyguard are going to have enough to deal with them either. Oh, Harad, what have you done? Maybe I'm being a bit too judgmental. I'm not too good a player myself, but it hurts when you see something like that in a replay. There's the Dunedain bodyguard. Defeat is almost a certainty for them. They tend to do pretty poorly against the Demons in the Desert, but the Galathran veteran warriors are doing far better. This is very close. Again, one of the closest fights I've seen. In Reforged, anyway. Yeah, Harad are not going to be taking this one home. It's going to be Lothlórien. 14 of them left. There's 5 bodyguard. There's 7 Demons of the Desert. Congrats, elves. All that good work Harad did to claw the Easterlings back into the game, and then he threw it away at the end. Hey, hey, hey. Interesting fight, full of interesting maneuvers. The battlefield was used to its entirety. There was some cowardice as well, I think. But nonetheless, I mean, it's a free-for-all. This sort of thing is expected in a free-for-all, I guess.
For the moment, the fortune of battle goes our way. Let's pray it remains.
I don't know why the Dunedain bodyguard are even bothering to run away at this point, because they're going to be caught. You're going to have to turn around at some point. Let's go to ×2 speed. I've no desire to watch these fools run away. ×6, actually. Screw that. What are the Galathran doing? Charge, fools. You're going to win. Right, now deal with the Dunedain bodyguard. Go on. Oh, he admitted defeat. That's even worse. Why would you admit defeat? Why would you... Oh dear. There's a lot of shame to be had all around here, I think. Nonetheless, Master Blaster doing the best of all of them. Starling, he did okay as well, obviously with Harad clawing his way back into the game at the end. I think that the Runic player probably performed worse overall, although the Dwarven and Dale sort of hill camping didn't end up bearing any fruit for them. Here we can see 589 kills on Galathran veteran warriors, 386 on Sindar archers, a lot on the Woodland warriors from that initial push. Again, they did struggle with the Arnorian push, but they didn't reinforce it properly enough, and the Galathran mounted company was also used very well. And again, the veteran warriors performing the best. The mounted company doing okay as well. Mostly the archers. The skirmish superiority in the end won out because no one was willing to be super aggressive against the elves. And if you aren't, they'll just skirmish you down. So yeah, that was an interesting one. It was very fun to watch. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you will join me for whatever is next.